Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to decode one of the most powerful tools in finance, the candlestick chart. And by the end of this, we're going to turn what looks like a secret code into a language you can actually speak. You know, if you've ever glanced at a financial screen, you've probably seen something just like this. It's a wall of green and red bars that can look, well, pretty intimidating, right? Almost like you're not supposed to get it. But here's the thing. That's not just random noise. Every single one of those little shapes, it's telling a story. It's a minute-by-minute account of a fierce battle between buyers who are trying to push the price up and sellers who are fighting to drag it back down. Okay, so to get the hang of this language, we've got to start with the basic alphabet. Let's zoom way in and break down just one of these shapes, a single candlestick. So every single candle, doesn't matter what shape or color it is, tells you 4 fundamental things about a specific period of time, whether it's 1 minute or 1 whole day. It tells you the open price, the high, below, and the close. Just remember OHLC. You know, a really good way to think about it is like a daily ledger for a shop. At the start of the day, you've got your opening balance. Sometime during the day, your balance hits its highest point and its lowest point. And then at the end of the day, you've got a closing balance. That's literally all a candle is showing you. So inside that one period, there's this constant tug of war going on. The price opens at a certain level. Maybe the sellers get the upper hand for a bit, and they push it down to its low. But then the buyers fight back hard and drive it all the way up to its high. And finally, when time's up, the price closes. The battle for that period is over. And the color? That's the easy part. It just tells you who won that battle. If the candle's green, it means the price closed higher than where it opened. The buyers, or the bulls, were in control. If it's red, well, the price closed lower than it opened. The sellers, or the bears, won that round. Simple as that. And the shape itself gives us even more clues. That thick part is called the body. That shows you the main territory that was gained or lost between the open and the close. And those thin lines, we call them the wick and the tail, show the extremes, the absolute highest and lowest points that were reached during the fight before that final price was set. All right, so now we're moving from letters to actual words. This is where it gets really interesting. When these individual candles start to group together, they form patterns, and these patterns can signal some really important shifts in the market's mood. Now, you don't have to go and memorize dozens of these things with crazy names. Let's just check out a couple of classics to see how these shapes tell a really human story, about fear and greed. Okay, so let's take the hammer, and it's called that for a reason. It literally looks like it's hammering out a bottom in the price. That long lower tail tells such a powerful story. It shows you that sellers tried to force the price way, way down, but the buyers stormed back in, completely rejected those low prices, and managed to push it all the way back up. It's a huge signal of a potential comeback. And then you've got something like the bearish engulfing pattern. Look at this. You see a small green candle showing a little bit of buying momentum, but then the very next candle is this huge red one that completely engulfs the one before it, wiping out all the prior gains and then some. It's just this incredibly visual sign of a power shift where sellers have completely overwhelmed buyers. But, and this is probably the most important part of this whole thing, these words only make sense in a sentence. A pattern on its own is, well, it's pretty much meaningless if you don't understand the broader market mood, the context where it's showing up. Okay, so 2 of the biggest market moods you'll hear about are accumulation and distribution. You can think of these as times when the so-called smart money might be making its big moves. Accumulation is this period of quiet, controlled buying, usually after a price has fallen. The big players are getting in without causing a big scene. Distribution is the opposite. It's controlled selling, usually after a price has gone way up as they cash out their positions. So how in the world do you spot these phases? Well, there's a really simple rule of thumb you can use. Just look at the speed of the price moves. In an accumulation zone, the recoveries tend to be fast and sharp, while the drops are slow and kind of grinding. In a distribution zone, it's the total opposite. The drops are fast and scary, and the recoveries are slow and weak. And this chart, it just illustrates that point perfectly. So look at this. Imagine it takes 86 days for the price to fall. But then, when the buyers finally step in, it recovers that exact same distance in just 22 days. That huge difference in speed, that fast, explosive recovery after a long, slow fall, that's a massive clue we might be in an accumulation phase. All right, let's bring this all home. How does understanding the alphabet The words and the sentences actually change the way you see the market. So let's be super clear about something. Reading candlestick charts isn't about having some magic crystal ball to predict the future. It's about having a thermometer to measure the psychology of the market right now, to really understand the balance of fear and greed. So, here's your new toolkit, your new way of looking at this. A single candle tells you that four-part story of one period. Patterns of candles tell you these short stories about shifts in momentum. And the market phase, that's the context, the main plot that gives everything else meaning. And sure, other tools like volume can help confirm the story, but that's a topic for another day. Just these three things together give you a much, much clearer picture.
So the next time you pull up a chart, don't see a secret code, see a story, because you now have the alphabet to a language that's just waiting to be read.